And in this game, we see a continuation of the discussion of the Seville variation of the Grunfeld with bishop takes f7 check. The discussion had been opened, Anatoly, in your match with Gary for the World Championship in Seville. And less than a year later, here you are in tournament practice, both of you continuing the discussion.
Yes, and I must say that we commented already the first game, which brought back the whole line in Grunfeld defense. And this is continuation of theoretical dispute or theoretical discussion. Knight takes d5, e4, knight takes c3, pawn takes c3, c5, or bishop g7. No, it doesn't matter.
Either way.
Bishop c4, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight c6, knight e2, castle, castle, bishop g4, f3, knight a5.
And now this is pretty much the key position in this variation of the Grunfeld, as we discussed before.
Yes, and so this is just the idea what I tried to present in match in Sevilla. Bishop takes f7 check, rook takes f7, f takes g4, rook takes f1 check, king takes f1, queen d6, e5, queen d5, bishop f2.
Now, so far, this is the same as the game we covered previously, but here, Gary played rook to d8, trying to put more pressure in the center.
No, of course, both sides analyzed a lot after a match in Sevilla, and so after rook f8, most probably Kasparov found something, and for sure we found something in our camp.
So now
he plays rook d8.
Now, this does have the point that you're pinned here, and maybe someday he threatens to regain his pawn or something.
Yes, and in between we played already one game in which white played queen c2, and for this special moment, for this special tournament, I prepared new idea, queen a4. Okay. Queen a4, this is very important because white wants black to exchange these c pawns. Then there is space for white rook to show some activity on c file, and so black cannot control completely f file. On another side, white attacks black knight on a5, and then if you play b6, what has happened in the game, then this is a finesse which I wanted to present. Then queen goes back from a4 to c2, and the main idea is that after exchange on c5, this bishop would have long and very successful future, because the whole chain of black pawns on the black square, c5, b6, a7.
So you actually waste a move with your queen in order just to provoke this one little pawn move in the black position.
That's right. And then rook has no any perspective on d8. Kasparov played rook f8.
So immediately you sidestep the pin.
King g1, right. So I should go out of this box.
First he played...
No, queen c4,
queen
yes.
c4. Now he wants to disturb you by playing pawn takes, so you can't recapture with the pawn. But of course you just simply sidestep that with queen d2.
Then queen e6.
Now he's attacking your pawn here. And not only the pawn, he's attacking the square, so you actually protect both. And now we see the point of Gary luring your queen to d2 is that he was hoping to gain a tempo on your queen.
Yes, and now we must talk about the most important positional plan for white. Just the whole strategy is to play against this bad bishop on g7. And so if queen goes somewhere, for instance queen d3, then first black would play queen d5, just having in mind weakness of pawn on e5. And then if queen moves somewhere, most probably to c2, then bishop h6, and again bishop is alive and very active.
This is the type of problems you had in the game we looked at previously, as he was able to activate his bishop by h6, and he had tremendous piece activity in that game.
Yes, but here we have very important resource, queen to g5. So I don't allow black bishop to go to h6, and I provoke move queen is on e6. Now I provoke h6, then it will eliminate possibility to bring bishop to h6.
So in the game, he played h6, and now you went queen all the way back to c1.
Yeah, this is almost the only way.
So now first you play your queen out on that side to provoke a pawn weakness, and then you play your queen out on this side to provoke a pawn advance.
Another pawn weakness or another positional idea.
And so now he played queen f7, attacking your bishop. You simply move it for the moment.
To g3.
And now here he probably played the decisive mistake of the game. Here's where he advanced g5. And you were just telling us that your main strategical goal in this opening, which you had yet to realize up to this point, was that you wanted to play against this bishop and completely box it in. And so after he plays g5, he kind of helps you achieve that goal.
No, but probably what he didn't want to allow, if he plays queen d5, then knight f4, and after this we have this important reserve, knight e6. And then if knight comes to e3, then simply queen d2. So he didn't want my knight to show up some activities, so he wanted to cut this knight. But it has another side.
The problem here, though, is that this bishop doesn't have so many routes to become active, but this knight, has other possibilities.
Yes, and so we will see.
Now you start to come back out again. You play queen up. And here he played queen d5. This has the threat to play knight e3 and win the game in one move.
Yes, so we must react.
So you played bishop back to stop that. And now
I think queen f7, because he couldn't find counterplay in this position.
Well, you explained to me before, if he plays queen f7, that you wouldn't repeat, that you would simply start to bring the knight and improve the position of the knight, either here or here. And so that this wouldn't really offer him too much prospect. So at this point, probably Gary was not too happy, and he kind of goes to his last chance, which is a pawn advance on the queen side. But after b5, you go ahead and improve the position of your knight with the idea to come to either of these squares. And in the game at this point, he played rook to f7. You point out that if he continues with his advance here, like so, then knight f5 is very strong, attacking this weakened point. And when he plays rook here to defend, then you give this variation where you play pawn up. And we're talking here about an offer that he can't refuse, because if the rook moves, then you have knight check, forking the king and queen.
Yes.
And so he must take this. And here what happens is his queen kind of gets overloaded, right? After rook e1, his queen wants to stay in touch with the e7 pawn. And after queen here, for example, then the queen is no longer defending the knight, like she was on d5. And you point out that after simply pawn takes pawn, tempo on the knight, you regain all the pawns in the center of the board.
Yes.
And so this would be just winning.
Yes, that's right.
Now, here you played rook e1, but you said maybe rook c1, simply to take away his only counterplay.
Yes, but at this moment I could already calculate many variations, and so I thought that white can play active plan.
Active chess.
Yes, active chess. Rook e1.
So after rook e1, he really has not too much else to try, so he went full steam ahead with b4.
b4 and then queen g6. So this is active chess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, now he has tremendous problems. His king is very exposed, and your knight is threatening to come into the game. So here he played king f8 to try and defend. But you point out that if he plays pawn takes pawn.
Then knight f5.
Knight f5 is very strong, threatening knight takes pawn check and taking more. And so here, after king f8, then you give e6. And again, we see this move trying to knock the rook away from protection of everything. So here he would have to play rook takes here, and pawn takes here, and then we see a new threat introduced of queen f7 checkmate.
Yes, and if king g8, then f6 and e7.
And so that only leaves the knight to come back and defend. Okay. And now probably the most precise is simply to play rook over to b1, threaten rook down check again.
Checkmate, almost.
This is a very strong check, right? So
yes.
It seems he would only have one move here, which would be queen back to a8 to protect that. And now, simply pawn takes pawn to knock the knight away from defending the mate. And there's really not too much he can do. He can throw one in-between move in with c2, but you simply move the rook over here, just figuring this might be useful. And now he would just simply lose an extra piece.
Yes.
So in the game, after queen to g6...
Knight. Rook is on e1.
Right.
King f8, yes.
In the game, after queen g6, he decided to try and sidestep and play king over. But now your knight selects another path to come into the black position. You played knight e4. And of course, this is very unpleasant for him, because you threaten simply to take here and then come in and visit with the knight again.
With the knight again, yes.
So at this point, Gary kind of gave it his best shot. And he sacrificed the exchange here with rook takes here, king takes, and then pawn takes pawn on c3. Now at first it looks like he's getting very good activity here, because if he can break down your pawns and finally at long last activate this bishop and have a nice passed pawn, it might not be so bad for him. But the rules of chess do allow white every other move, right?
Queen f5 check, yes.
So he had to move with the king. And now you play queen over check.
Check, yes.
King up. And now queen takes here, keeps everything very nicely connected for you.
Yes, again, this structure is solid.
Yeah, it's very important to keep it,
yes,
so that this guy never gets back in the game. So now he plays queen check. He played king back. And he pushes to save his pawn. Once that pawn falls, he really has not too much to be proud of in the position. And so now you just simply defend your knight, or bring your knight back to come in. And here he played bishop f8.
Yes, and then knight g3 to f5.
So now he can't push to attack the knight, because this knight is on pre. And if that knight moves, he has to be careful he doesn't lose the pawn for free.
Play king g8. And then, very simple, rook e1 to c1, with the same idea. e6 is not possible, queen takes knight, and then pin on the diagonal.
And after rook c1, you simply round up his last prayer.
After rook c1, so black resigned, and this was the sad story for Kasparov, because I just can remind the situation in this tournament. At the moment when we played this game, so it was match in Sevilla when Kasparov maintained his title, but it was draw result 12-12, and still it was dispute who is the best, and Kasparov or just two best players. And in this tournament, Kasparov was playing fantastically, and before this game, he was leading in the tournament with 2 points advantage. I was clear second. And for this game, which was very important, it was crowd, about maybe 2,000 spectators. They came from the whole France to see the game. And with this big crowd, I won the game, and I got fantastic applauses. And still Kasparov won the tournament, but it was not so clear and so, how you say, without any concurrence. And
well, it kind of soured his victory.
Yes. And so after he congratulated me with the victory, I saw tears in his eyes.
Yes. Yeah, this game probably hurt him very hard, because he was riding very high, and then to have the wind taken out of his sails, and very thoroughly, very convincing. But this game was actually, strategically speaking, this was the first time that you had a real strategical feel that you'd finally mastered the black position. And your
this
overall plan was a success.
Yeah, this is very clear game with absolutely perfect positional plan which could be realized.